Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me, Amber Bach, for my Week 3 presentation on Henry A. Landsberger for MPA 545, Conflict Resolution and Labor Negotiation. Just a brief overview, I will be going over the textbook reference to Landsberger, then Landsberger's final report on a research project in mediation. Third, the article by Charles Remus that cites Landsberger, and then fourth, my takeaway on the subject matter. The textbook discusses on page 77, chapter 4, the characteristics of a successful mediator presented by Landsberger, and briefly goes over a few of the traits. Number 1, a successful mediator should have an appropriate sense of humor, act unobtrusively in conflict, create the perception of being with the disputing party or being on their side and show empathy towards them, have persistence and patience, as well as specific knowledge about the subject matter in which they are mediating. Moving forward onto the final report on a research project in mediation presented by Landsberger that was discussed briefly in the text, he wanted to discover whether psychological tests were capable of measuring the traits which are desirable for a mediator to possess and can also be a way to determine, like an aptitude test, prior to becoming a mediator and determining who is more likely to do well in the position. The study had two separate parts, the first being administering the test to a group of current mediators, and then the second portion was the construction of a rating scale. So first, they had to find out what the traits of a successful mediator were and not who specifically possessed them. And this was done by interviewing 18 mediators. And from the interview, they gathered 10 qualities, with the textbook naming 6 of them on the prior slide. Then he wanted to see if the 18 mediators who participated could be distinguished on these traits. Ultimately, he concluded that these tests are unnecessary in the selection procedure for mediators. However, he did suggest a repetition of the study. Now, moving on to the article that cites Landsberger is one by Charles M. Remus, and that is The Mediation of Industrial Conflict, a Note on the Literature. Remus discussed multiple bits of literature in this article on mediation, with Landsberger being one of them with regard to mediator personality and psychology. He explains that there is no analysis of the mediation function as an entirety yet available, and this is in part due to the hostility of practicing mediators towards the analysis of their work. And that is due to the fact that mediation is considered an art rather than a science. It has been noted that different mediators get equally good results by different methods, and the technique is highly individual, that the process does not permit generalizations. However, he advised, despite the uniqueness of every labor dispute, this should not prevent further research in the field utilizing behavioral analysis. So my takeaway on the subject matter, I definitely do agree with Landsberger and the fact that there are certain qualities, just like in leadership and management, there are certain traits and qualities that a leader must possess or a person must possess to be considered a successful leader. Same thing here. There are certain traits and qualities that someone must possess to be a good mediator, and it does not necessarily mean they have to already have them naturally. This could be learned, but I also agree with Remus's article and that mediation is kind of an art. It's not necessarily something that we can just pinpoint scientifically. It's something that is unique because this is the interaction between different people that have different beliefs, different values, and so it's very unique. The responses will be very tailor-made. So I believe both of these articles did a great job in explaining mediations and the personality traits and qualities necessary to be successful, and that like Remus said, we cannot make generalizations. However, there are specific things pinpointed that can show that someone would be considered a successful mediator. Alrighty, these are my references. Thank you so much for watching, and I cannot wait to watch yours.